when you flip a website, let's say a website is making $10,000 a month. Right now, if you sell a website, you're typically going to get a multiplier of about 35 to 40x monthly profit. So you can sell that for $350 to $400,000. What that means is this doesn't become a bad idea until 35 or 40 months later, right? So if you can't replace a $10,000 site when you just got nearly $500,000, like, then that's a problem. You have 3 years to do that. I think you can see the whole logic behind it. You get all that money up front, you get the cash injection, you get all your employees' time back, you get your resources. Like, it's just a no-brainer. And who doesn't like getting a six-figure paycheck?
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no-bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
All right, everybody. Welcome officially to the show. It's my pleasure today to have Matt Diggity on the show. For those of you guys that don't know Matt, I don't know where you guys have been hiding, but Matt is a full-blown SEO optimization specialist, and he's currently, I believe, located in Chiang Mai, Thailand, working as an affiliate SEO full-time. A lot of you guys probably know Matt because of his popular SEO blog called Diggity Marketing. He also has a course and a training program out there, I believe, called the Affiliate Lab. And he's been able to build a seven-figure SEO business as an affiliate marketer. And he also holds the Chiang Mai SEO Conference every year. So, man, without further ado, Matt, you just want to come on and say hello?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure to finally connect.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Thanks for bearing with me. We had a couple little technical issues this morning, but we're excited to be hanging out with everybody. Matt, for those of my audience that don't know you, you just want to do kind of a quick little intro, 2-3 minutes, kind of how you got into the space, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, so the reason I got into online marketing or making money online, whatever you want to call it, was pretty much just desperation. I was an engineer back in California and working 60-hour weeks, dreading every part of it. That, like, I'll just be straight with you guys, being an electrical engineer, working in a cubicle, working on stuff that's so freaking boring. I saw the best case scenario, which would be, okay, let's just take a look at the highest people up at my company. They're all just freaking miserable. And I saw the worst case scenarios, which is already starting to experience depression setting in and just lack of purpose and all that kind of stuff. So it was honestly the first thing I did when I wanted to bail out of that crappy situation was just do the opposite of that. So I started learning more yoga, and I actually became a yoga teacher. But not too shortly after that, I found out that doesn't make that much money. Not that at that point in time I was like really money hungry or anything like that, but I needed enough. I was living in San Diego, California. I needed some money or else I was going to starve. So then I started looking into different ways to make passive income. Around the same time, I read the 4-Hour Workweek, so I knew, like, okay, there's people making money online through e-commerce or maybe affiliate marketing, stuff like that. So that's how I jumped into it all. And ironically, the first website I decided to make was around yoga, and guess what? That didn't make money either. So, but eventually, I just didn't give up and kept plugging at it. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And how long were you kind of in the space, so to speak, Matt, before you kind of had your first big break, you would say?
I would say there's a lot of breaks along the way. I mean, the first significant one is when that first dollar comes in. Doesn't matter whether it's $100 or $1 or anything, but that's a huge breakthrough, because up until that point, I don't care who you are getting into the space, all this make money on live stuff is hocus pocus, right? So when that first dollar comes in, then it's actually real. So that was a big milestone. But I would say the first time where it actually felt like, okay, this is a job replacer, is when I started making probably about like $3,000 to $4,000 a month with some Amazon affiliate sites. And then I just decided, okay, like, I'm not replacing my engineering income at this level, but getting close. And it's enough for me to feel comfortable to pull the plug on that career and dive into this stuff and start living the life that I want to live.
100%, 100%. Yeah, it doesn't matter, like you said, right? First dollar, first $10, whatever it was, that first commission check came through, or that first sale, right? I'll never forget that myself. So Matt, it's great to see how much you've accomplished throughout your career. If you could kind of think back to when you were still kind of fighting your way to the top, so to speak, and fighting your way to make it, do you have a turning point that kind of made you realize how much of an impact you can make on the industry? Right? Something that was like, oh man, it's time to kind of step up my game or take this thing to the next level?
No, I never really thought about it like that. I guess, most books you would read would say, begin with the end in mind and craft a plan and make your vision board and set the highest goal at the top of it. I guess I'm all about that kind of stuff. I'm all about reading, and I'm all about vision boards and all that stuff too, but I never did that. I kind of just kept scaling in terms of like the immediate opportunities I saw and necessity. So I guess one of the biggest reasons people might know who I am is because of the Diggity Marketing blog, but that was only put together because I had a link selling service and I wanted to get people to come to the site and read some things and then also see you can buy something there. So like as much as I like want to help people and I always had a passion behind wanting to give SEO and give these opportunities for leaving your day job and that kind of stuff. There was also necessity involved in it too. So it was never like, okay, these are the steps I'm going to take and then hopefully I'm going to be like this well-known SEO. It was never like that. And it's definitely not even like that now. Like I honestly feel like in terms of my life's purpose and stuff like that, having a big personality or a big internet personality isn't really what I want. It's kind of came to be, so to speak. So I'm trying to make good decisions on how to use that wisely. I would have to say probably the biggest obligation I feel right now, or biggest turning point in terms of wanting to go big and stuff like that, is probably the Chiang Mai SEO Conference. Like the experience of having a big place for not just, it's not just like a conference that you would send your VA to if you're an agency owner, or you would go as like a newbie SEO. This is like for advanced people. This is for super affiliates. This is for the agency owners. This is for the software developers. This is a great conference. And I think now it's at the point where, okay, now this is something that's purposeful. It's a home for this section of SEO. So in that case, like this is probably the first time when it's willful, when it's planned and decided what kind of steps I'm going to take things to the next level. But up until this point, it was just hapstance and necessity and just seeing what opportunities were available at the time and just doing them.
How many people were at the last one? It looks like a lot, man. It looks like a quantum leap in terms of attendees from the outside looking in. And maybe it wasn't such a quantum leap. Maybe it was more gradual. But from the outside, it seems like you guys just blew that thing up. Yeah.
It's just, I don't take much of the credit. I can curate a list of speakers, but Chiang Mai in Thailand sells it. But the first year, it was 525 people. The second year it was 565, something like that. I mean, they were both at capacity, and we just crammed more people in there the second time. But this year we booked out the third ballroom, so it's going to be nearly 800 people. So we have more room, and we're not endangering lives with the capacity limits.
Is that the first event that you threw?
Actually. So this is the third year. The year before the first year, I actually had a mastermind in Chiang Mai, and it was pretty small, like not a big deal. I think we had like 40 people, but it was just a bunch of my friends from the SEO friends from the UK, some coming from the States, and just coordinated a trip over to Thailand. And so I was like, okay, let's do something for these guys. And we set up this mastermind event, and that's what kicked off the whole conference. It was a great experience. Everyone got a whole bunch of value from it. So it was just like, okay, why don't we make that a public thing? Why is it just us benefiting from that? Let's open it up to everybody else.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Going from 40 people to 500 people, that's a whole different talent in terms of being able to pull off an event like that. Congratulations, man.
I don't recommend it. I can say like,
I don't either.
an SEO's personality is not set up for events.
No.
Like we're good at this, and we're good at spreadsheets. We're not good at event planning and stuff like that.
One of the things I really wanted to chat with you about today, Matt, is affiliate SEO. So many of my people run, maybe dabble just a little bit in affiliate. Maybe some don't even do any affiliate SEO at all. Like they're quite literally, most of my people running 90% or more in terms of client SEO and doing it as a service. So I wanted to chat with you guys, or I wanted to chat with you specifically about some affiliate SEO. To be frank, like I don't think there is a right answer or a wrong answer, but what do you think is better, right, between the two? What do you see as the kind of the difference?
I don't think one is better. Well, I'd be a hypocrite if I did. I'm doing both of them right now. So we have clients through my agency, the Search Initiative. I have quite a few clients. I'm also doing affiliate marketing completely through my agency, LeadSpring. So I'm doing both, and I would say at 50-50 level. There's pros and cons to each, right? So in terms of client SEO, the awesome things are it's low risk. You basically get all that money up front, and it's great for newbies too. Not saying like only newbies do client SEO, but it's great for newbies in the sense that you get that money up front. That can be used to pay for tools. That can be used to pay for your education. You can learn with that money. You can experiment with that money, and you get it up front. With affiliate SEO, you're putting that money into a niche idea. You don't know if it's going to work later. You're buying content and links up front, and you're not even sure that it'll get past the sandbox, but if you're doing the right things, you will. So in that sense, like client SEO is a lot safer, and the risk is mitigated, and the money's up front. That said, I would say client SEO is hard to scale in the sense that you now need another skill that also isn't inherent to the typical SEO personality, which is very data driven. You need the skill of sales. So you need to be able to sell yourself and communicate with clients. And that can be 40 to sometimes up to 50 and 60% of the job is just communicating with clients and managing those projects. So it's not just you doing your work, but you're talking to people and you're making sure they're calm and stuff like that. Whereas with affiliate SEO, it's just you and the websites and Google, and you don't get held back by needing to talk to the clients. It's if you have a bad month, it's between you and yourself. You can have that conversation in 1 second and you're done. And I guess with in terms of monetization, like I would say that it's kind of different. I mean, you can definitely scale an agency to 6 figures a month. That's definitely doable. You're going to need a lot of staff to do that, though. With an affiliate model, it's kind of like depends on how successful your niche is. Like you can find niches that can easily make you $50,000 to $100,000 a month. But the model that I like to use is a flipping model where I'll get a site to max out. Maybe that's at $5,000 a month, maybe $50,000 a month, and then I'll flip it. Once I flip that site, I get all my time back. I get all my resources back. And then I have a big chunk of money that I can use for investing into new sites and stuff like that. I'm all about diversification, so I'll do both. But I would say in terms of my own personality, I like affiliate better, but that's just my personality that doesn't want to get on the phone and sell myself and that kind of stuff. And I like high competition. I was a big ex gamer, so there's some part of me that just wants to be on a leaderboard in the hardest sport possible.
Yeah, that was good. So if somebody comes to you, Matt, and says like, "This is my background, this is my history," right? What kind of monetization method should I go after? Like, how would you coach them, or how would you consult them and say, if you're looking for this, go here. If you're looking for this, go here. What would your answer be to them?
If it's regarding SEO and making a career at SEO, no matter who it is and whatever kind of personality type that they throw at me, I'm probably going to say like the best thing to do is first get a job at an agency. Like get a job in an agency. You don't have to worry about the sales part. You can watch people selling and you can see their process and you can pick that up from them. And then they're going to pay for your education. Like you'll get a salary, but they're going to be teaching you and training you. So you'll get your feet wet there. And then after that, like now that you have the skills, You can decide whether or not you want to just jump straight into affiliate or start your own agency, something like that. I'd probably recommend, kind of just depends on one, like your personality type. If you want to talk to people, if you like selling, if you get a rush out of closing deals and stuff like that, go the client route. And then if you don't have a bankroll, if you don't have at least $5,000 or $10,000 in the bank to invest in an affiliate site, and give yourself some cushion just in case it doesn't work out as fast as you want, then you're probably going to want to go client route as well.
I completely agree with that. In fact, kind of that was how I got started. I didn't start working for an agency directly, right? But I was working with them, right? So I took over SEO for their current customers, right? They went and sold it, and effectively it paid me to be able to learn. And it was great because I got to learn, I got to test, I got a budget for marketing tools, I got a budget for links, and it allowed me to kind of do my own thing. While all the while I was running all kinds of other business models myself, trying to kind of figure things out from affiliate SEO to client SEO to pay-per-call or pay-per-lead, right? It allowed me to kind of have my bases covered and have a budget to start testing. So definitely agree with your approach.
Right, man. And just think about how different it would have been. Like, okay, so you were working with this agency and they were giving you a budget. They probably said like, okay, you can spend a couple grand a month on backlinks. I mean, that's going to allow you to take some risks. So you'll try these kind of links, you'll try those kind of links, you'll play with some other stuff. But if it were just you and you had 5 grand in the bank, like you're going to be making those decisions so slow and so carefully, and you wouldn't experiment at all. So I would say it definitely accelerated your learning process. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, 100%. It gave me the budget to accelerate, but I would have been much slower to action if it was my own money. What do you think the biggest challenge is for new affiliate SEOs? You think it's that, kind of being too cautious with their money or having to move really cautiously because they kind of have a limited budget? Or what do you think kind of the biggest challenge is for newer affiliate SEOs? So kind of my people, if you thought about them that were doing client SEO and wanted to get into affiliate SEO, what do you think kind of the problems would be? What are the things that you'd tell them to watch out for?
Well, typically for any affiliate, even if you're experienced, the number one challenging problem is niche selection. So, if you choose the right niche, I've been in some that I can throw up a 7 to 10 page website with crappy content from iWriter and have that make $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Like that's the kind of niche you want to be in. But you can find other niches and typically this happens with Amazon niches a lot, that take a lot of effort and don't pay nearly as much. Maybe you might break $1,000 a month, but you have to make a 30-page website and throw tons of backlinks at it. So it's kind of just like niche selection determines everything. And there's two issues with it. Number one, the wrong niche might be too difficult to rank. So you might find that you want to rank in some, supplement niche, and you find page 1 is just populated with Healthline, WebMD, and stuff like that. Like no matter what, if you don't choose that niche properly, you're just not going to rank. Number 2 is, like the wrong niche might just be too competitive, but also not pay that much. And you don't really know that until you've done it. So the basic advice that I like to give people is just to reverse engineer. As much as you can run these like spreadsheets and prediction calculators and all that kind of stuff, the best way to do it is just reverse engineer what's already working. So jump on marketplaces like Flippa. There's other places online where people are buying and selling websites, and just look and see what is selling, and then look at their financials, and you'll see right then and there, like this is something that can rank, that also makes this much money. Do I feel like this is something I want to go into? And once I started doing that, like that really, really saved a lot of time in the trial and error process with niche selection.
100%. Yeah. Every time I've done that, it's been a big time suck, but it's paid off, very, very well. You got to sort through a lot of shit to find the gems. But yeah, that's worked well for me. That got me into years ago, the coupon game and the EMDs, exact matches and coupons, which did really, really well for me for a very long time. So that's interesting. Nice. Where would you look besides Flippa?
Well, okay. So there's some marketplace aggregates like Centurica that will kind of just bring up the listings of everywhere. Some marketplaces like Empire Flippers require deposits, so you wouldn't really be able to look on there without putting down deposits. That said, I'm buying websites a lot of the time too, just to skip past the sandbox period and just get straight into a site that's ready to make money. So if you want to really shortcut the process, not just for niche selection, you can just jump right into a niche by buying a website.
Awesome. So you talked a little bit earlier about kind of flipping and that model. Is that kind of what you're doing mostly these days when it comes to affiliate SEO?
Yeah, man. So check this out. Like, this will make complete sense right now when I explain it, but I was doing the opposite of it for so long, and it's just so stupid. So when I first started LeadSpring is basically my company. That's my affiliate marketing agency. All we do is we build affiliate websites, and that's it, straight up. So basically, when we first started, we decided, okay, let's start building some websites. We built some websites. We got it to making to like 20K a month. And then what we decided to do, we decided to create more websites. So we're taking all that profit, building more websites, more backlinks, blah, 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 blah. So we get up to 30K a month. But the profit's still like $5,000, $6,000 because we're reinvesting all of that back into new sites. So, I mean, the whole idea was, okay, let's eventually, maybe we get to $100,000 a month, and then we start to just chill or just maintain, and we'll enjoy most of that profit. But it doesn't work that way. Like, you're not going to get to 100,000 and think that that's enough. You're going to want to take 90% of that and just put it right back in the business. So you can tread this way for a long time, and then just realize that you're not making any profit. So I don't consider myself that stupid, but it was kind of stupid to do all that. So in the same time, when you're scaling to that point, you're gonna have to big portfolio. So you're gonna have to grow more team members. So your size gets bigger, your costs get bigger. You're gonna need more licenses to do all this stuff. So then we just decided, okay, what happens if we just flip all this stuff? Well, when you flip a website, let's say a website is making $10,000 a month. Right now, if you sell a website, you're typically going to get a multiplier of about 35 to 40x monthly profit. So you can sell that for $350,000 to $400,000. What that means is this doesn't become a bad idea until 35 or 40 months later, right? So if you can't replace a $10,000 site when you just got nearly $500,000, like, then that's a problem. You have 3 years to do that. I think you can see the whole logic behind it. You get all that money up front, you get the cash injection, you get all your employees' time back, you get your resources. Like, it's just a no-brainer. And who doesn't like getting a six-figure paycheck?
100%. I love that model. Absolutely. I found too that it takes a completely different skill set to manage a team of 30, 40 people plus than underneath that, right? Like, I know that I have no business managing a team of over 30 people. I can run up to 30, no problem. But after that, everything kind of goes to hell in a handbasket. So for me, I love this model too, because it's staying in a size limit of people that I know that I can manage. And it gets me a big payout, and it gets the team kind of a refresher. Now they get to work on something new again versus going back and running the same old things and doing the same old things over and over.
Yeah. That said, there are some like mental fuckeries. Sorry if you don't have cursing on the show. There are some things that like kind of get you. I mean, when you jump, like we just sold some sites last month, and when you decrease and then your profit levels are back to like $3,000 a month, like that's something you have to realize, like, this is part of the process. Don't freak out and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's some parts of it that are, I mean, simply just mindset things and maybe egotistical things that you can just easily look past. But I see people freak out sometimes when they try this model. But if you look 100%. At the big picture, it makes complete sense.
100%. Yeah, it can be a mindfuck, to be frank. I've bought, built, sold multiple businesses, and every time I've sold, it's been a mindfuck. It takes a little while. It takes a couple weeks to kind of really think through it and to get past it. At least for me, even at this level, multiple seven-figure businesses, every single time I sell one, it's weird. It's kind of a come to Jesus, like, what am I going to do now? Like, what do I want to do when I grow up? Like it's different. So if you had to kind of break down the process, Matt, for you guys at LeadSpring in building out a site, right, that you are going to sell, what would that look like? Like, kind of what's the ideal outcome there? And kind of if we had to kind of break that down a little bit for everybody, what would that look like?
You want it to at least be a 12-month process. First of all, because when you're selling a website, most of the time, the brokers are going to give you a valuation based on the last 12 months. So if you don't own it for 12 months, then like some of that gets cut off, or you could like they could give you a valuation based on 6 months, but you get a smaller multiplier. So like you're going to get punished either way. So you want it to take some time. I guess it starts with either you're building a site from scratch, or you're buying a website and building up from there. I mean, the first thing to do, if you're buying a site, let's say you're buying a site, like the first thing I do is just hit it with all the conversion rate optimization tricks that I possibly know. So, I mean, 90% of the time there's money left on the table, whether they're not doing like comparison tables, or their coloring is wrong, or their call to action button names are wrong, or something of the rather they'll be doing wrong, or maybe they're referring people to Amazon products where you could just work directly with the manufacturer and get a better deal. There's just a bunch of different stuff that it could be. So that's the first thing first. A lot of times I can take a site that I buy and double its revenue in 1 month just by doing all these kind of things. So, and that's also a big factor on why you would buy a website, by the way, but that's a different topic. And after that, I guess the next thing to do would be a technical audit. Like just do a hardcore technical audit. Just make sure you're fixing 404 errors, fixing up double redirects, improving site speed. Maybe if for some crazy reason HTTPS is installed, do that kind of stuff. And just getting the site to be a tight ship. Like you want it to be a nice tight ship. If you want quick and easy way to do it, get an Ahrefs site audit tool, run it through there and just give yourself 95% health or more, and then move on. After that, content. It's all about content and just first doing keyword research and figuring out, okay, what are the pages that I haven't written about yet that could possibly be good monetizing keywords, getting those written, and then going back into existing content and seeing like, okay, here's a page of mine that's on page 2. What am I doing wrong? What kind of content am I missing on there? What kind of I don't know, maybe optimization factors do I not have? What's my word length compared to everyone else on page 1? Sprucing those guys up. After that, it's time to pour on the backlinks. Just hitting the pages that want to rank with quality backlinks, you have relevant backlinks, links from site with traffic, trust links, that kind of stuff, and following the process, doing it over and over again, and eventually the site starts to move up.
So when you buy a site, how long are you typically holding it? Does it all kind of depend? Do you have kind of a revenue target in mind for each one once you kind of bring it on? Or how do you decide like what the future of a site's going to look like? What's the game plan?
How long I hold it, that's kind of tricky. You want to first balance like when you think it's starting to get close to the niche peaking out. Like when you start saying that I'm number one for everything, like that's a little bit too late, because then you've taken all the opportunity off the table for the buyer. So you want to find that point in time where you're starting to get close and you think you're almost there, but you want to leave something for the buyer. Also, it's good to leave some other monetization channels on there. Like maybe there's a shoulder niche or a side niche that you haven't had the chance to get into. Leave that for them. Or maybe you've decided to run retargeting ads, and maybe that's something to leave for them too. But so I guess it's just like trying to find that sweet balance, like maybe the 90 to 95% level where you feel like you've maxed it out, and then begin the selling process. It's also good to begin the selling process a little bit early, because a lot of more expensive businesses, so like anything going over $300,000 is typically going to take a long sales cycle to get off your hands. So bear in mind with that as well.
What do you think that sales cycle looks like for stuff over 300 grand, like you said? If a site's making over 10K a month, basically net, right? Then you got to be worried about a longer sales cycle.
I haven't had that much good luck selling my big ones, but you're typically looking at at least 3 months to sell it. That said, if you're in the right niche and you can find a strategic buyer, like, for example, let's say I was selling a website reviewing, home electronic products, like maybe Wirecutter might buy it, or maybe, the electronic manufacturer might buy it, or some hosting company might buy it. That's always a possibility. But in general, especially with niches that, I don't know, some people feel like are a little bit vulnerable right now, like people in the SEO space think that health niches are scary. So that might take longer to sell too.
Okay. And why are they thinking health is scary? Is that because of all the medic update and everything else?
Yeah, if we look at those pie charts and we see like what kind of sites were affected last August, I mean, health was a big chunk. It wasn't all of it, by the way, but it was a big chunk. So I think people are just kind of feeling iffy about it. That's just how the sentiment goes.
So you made a comment earlier that I wanted to drill in on. You said that your big sites, you're having kind of trouble selling, or you haven't had as much success with selling. So strategically at LeadSpring, right, where you guys do this stuff every day, are you focused on kind of that, 10K a month kind of revenue and under, and like as a sweet spot that you can sell pretty quickly, or do you guys specialize in any kind of income range there, I guess, is the question.
Not really. We haven't really looked at that sense. I mean, if you got a site to make 10K and you knew 30K was in its horizon, you're not going to throttle back. It's just like some kind of fighting instinct in every human being would never let that happen. But yeah, I mean, I think another big part of why some of our big sites have been stubborn to sell is like we weren't choosing our niches that carefully in the sense that they're sellable. Like, I like to go for super fad niches that are really hot at a certain point in time. It's a really nice steep ride at the beginning. So maybe that was stinging us. But right now we seem to be choosing them a little bit more carefully, and they should be sellable.
In terms of niches, then, are you looking at things that like have a domain that's kind of broad, right? So that you have more kind of shoulder niche opportunities, right? And you can kind of jump into some other things. Is that kind of part of the selection criteria or the buying criteria, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a great concept to build a site that's an authority that can branch off into different things. Like, you don't want to like have a best golf rangefinder site. You want to have a golf site, so then you can get into all that different stuff. Or maybe you just want to have a sports site so you can get into golf, tennis, and hunting or whatever. The bigger it is, the better it is. That said, big sites are hard to manage and especially slower to rank. So there's a trade-off as with anything.
So what are you seeing in terms of like buyer types? You said like the niche buyer, right? Like the big juggernauts could be the people that buy out your site. Who else do you see at LeadSpring kind of buying sites from you in terms of like who these people are?
Yeah, I mean, you got the juggernauts, but also I would say the most common buyer right now, it's very interesting, is your ex dentist that's looking to retire, or someone who's like invests in stocks that just sees the stock market right now. They see it peaked out. They look at real estate prices. They see those peaked out, and they're just like, okay, the returns aren't great on the traditional stuff. Why don't I take a risk with these online businesses that are getting hyped up right now for due reason? So a lot of times we're getting investors like that, and it's really exciting. And I too myself, I invest in things, and when I can, I'd rather buy a website any day over like stocks or a house, even though heavily invested in real estate. I mean, just the opportunities right now are better, in my opinion, with online businesses.
That makes a whole lot of sense. That's interesting. So you would say the two primaries are like the juggernauts, and then kind of the professionals, so to speak, that are looking for alternative investment kind of routes.
Yeah. Then there's also like consolidation. There's portfolios too. So there's a lot of companies out there. Some that come to mind would be Wired Investors and Income Store. And so like these guys, what they do is, they'll take investor money to fund, creating together a portfolio and then pay dividends out to, the people that invest, and they'll take an operation management fee and then probably a portion of the profits as well. So there's, it's becoming a legit asset class that people are investing in as an alternative.
Okay, cool. And so at Lead Spring, that's kind of an interesting model. You also do joint ventures too, right?
Yeah. So we were doing them a lot more at the beginning. So we had this program, a JV program, where let's say you had a website that got to $1,000 a month and you just got stuck. You couldn't get it ranked higher. Maybe you ran out of interest in the niche. So we would partner with you. And if we got to say $6,000 a month, we'd see the difference is $5,000. Then we'd split that down the middle. So 2,500, or the difference would be $5,000. The split down the middle, 2,500 to each party. So you would get your original 1,000 plus 2,500, so 3,500. We'd take 2,500 and call it a day. We just don't have that open right now. We're too busy with our own projects, so to speak. But yeah, it's a good model, and we've had a lot of great partners too.
That's awesome. And then you have a full-blown kind of agency right now too, right?
Yeah, that's the search initiative.
And so what kind of criteria are you looking at the search initiative to do business with somebody? Specific budgets or specific niches or kind of all over the place, or who are you working with there?
Yeah, so we're a boutique agency. We're not trying to be the biggest in the world, but of course we are trying to be the best. We're hiring all like college graduates out of the UK. I think we have an offices in Poland, and we're hiring the best of the best, and we're looking to train the best of the best. So unfortunately, we're not super cheap. We're not going to take on clients for $500 or $1,000 a month. We're looking for more established businesses that we can take to the next level. Ironically, and this probably has more to do with what kind of SEO I am, is we get a lot of clients that are just passing us their affiliate websites. That's kind of different. It's not. I would say a decent chunk of our portfolio is above average for affiliate sites as opposed to like e-commerce businesses and stuff like that. So it's interesting. It's fun.
That's awesome. So you got Diggity Marketing, you got Lead Spring, and the search initiative. Any other kind of key things that you're doing these days? You got the Chiang Mai SEO Conference. I mean, those are 4 big commitments, man.
Right. Let's not forget Authority Builders. So Authority Builders is my backlink service. Basically, it's guest post outreach. So the differentiating factor and what we did that made us stand out is we basically killed off all the partners that we work with that aren't getting a decent chunk of traffic in Google. I mean, it's a no-brainer to think about it. Like an easy way to figure out whether Google likes a website is whether they rank it, right? Now, if they rank a website, then obviously they're okay with the sites it links, its backlinks, right? Of course it is. So once we switched over to this, it was kind of like night and day with the client's results. Like I do a lot of tracking of clients' results, and they started to look like real nice hockey sticks. I know this is Whitehead SEO, but it wasn't looking like it. It was looking powerful.
Awesome. So you got Authority Builders, the Search Initiative, Lead Spring, and Diggity Marketing, and then the Chiang Mai SEO Conference. So, dude, with that being said, like that is a whole lot of things going on. Like, how do you keep it all under control as an entrepreneur, right? We all have ADD tendencies. We all want to do everything, right? Which you are doing. It looks like everything, right? How do you stay balanced? How do you handle it all?
I'd say like shout out to my business partners and my managers. I think one great thing that we started implementing since like early 2018 is really focusing on management structures and taking a look at business scaling principles. I do a lot of reading and stuff like that, but I'd say the most impactful thing I did was got a consultation from Mads Singers. Mads is a great guy. He's a Danish dude. He has an outsourcing agency in the Philippines, and I believe he has something like 50 VAs under him, something like that. So we flew him out to work with my businesses and teach us some management principles, take a look at all the stuff that we're doing. And yeah, it's been a game changer for us. Like we're putting things in place, and I can truly say like I only really need to focus on about 5 to 6 people, and they're doing the same thing below themselves, which has allowed my brain to stay a lot more sane. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I found when you have more than kind of those 4 or 5 direct reports, that things can get really crazy and really hectic. So I think you're definitely at a good balancing point, so to speak. So you gave us kind of a map really, really quickly of how you would build out kind of an affiliate site and maximize the revenue after like buying one, or if you just built one, it would work, I'm sure, from scratch as well. So with that being said, if somebody was to go take those steps and implement them, what do you think a small affiliate SEO team looks like? Who are the key people? Who are the key contractors? Who are the key VAs? Like, how would you build out that team if you were in that position, right? You just bought a site that's making 10 grand a month. You're trying to take it to 30 or 40 grand a month, right? You're going to follow the steps that you laid out. What would your team look like?
Right. Okay, cool. This is a good question. And we're keeping it at this level. Like, I'm someone who has the cash flow to buy a site making $10,000 a month. So I just invested $350,000, something like that, right? So I can build a big team. Cool. So first things first is like, does it want to be me doing the SEO? Let's assume that I'm the SEO project manager. Now, the first thing I want is probably a content editor. So someone that's going to be in charge of going out and researching the keyword research, defining content briefs. So someone who's going to say like, okay, we want to rank for best protein powder for vegans or something like that. Let's go get this piece created. I'm going to do the keyword research. I'm going to make the content brief, tell them they need to hit these subtopics. Here's the keyword density analysis. Here's the words they need to hit in the page. Here's the tone that they want to hit, blah, 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 blah. So we want someone to manage all that stuff and be completely responsible for the content.
So your content editor is completely responsible for content, like you just said. So they're doing like the gap analysis, they're doing the content brief, they're doing it all kind of in terms of content. I've tried to separate those roles in the past, right? Having too many people, I think, in kind of that role that were in charge of content, and it's always kind of beat me up, so to speak. So I think one person that kind of owns the content, so to speak, high level, is kind of a different thought process for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, underneath that person, they'll have their different content writers for sure. But you want one content manager per project, so to speak. So that would be that. Then I would also want a designer. So maybe someone that's more visually oriented that can take the content and just upload it. So they're going to be formatting the content. They're putting in nice tables, and they're going to like make call outs and highlight different things, make them look some custom illustrations, like all that kind of stuff. So that's their job, the content uploader. I'm not sure what we call that position at our company, but very, very crucial. I find that the content uploader position is like one of the last ones that an SEO is willing to get rid of. I'm not sure why, but I don't know many people that have done it, but once they do, it's like night and day. It's just such a nice thing not to have to upload and decorate content, which we're not probably good at anyways.
So you think that person's more design heavy, Matt, or you think that they're more like HTML, no plugins, no WordPress, so to speak, right? So that they can put in the tables and the call outs.
I'd make them design heavy. Design heavy. I mean, they'll probably be working with like a content builder anyways, like Thrive or Elementor or whatever. So even if they're not like tech savvy, they still can leverage like the visual aspects, and they're going to be better than like a techie person at the visual stuff, making things look good. And it's also really handy for someone to be able to create their own like featured images at the top of posts. Custom illustrations are nice too. And when you're making your own custom illustrations in your posts and stuff like that, like let's say I make a graph that's showing people like the different benefits or some kind of different benefits of fish oil or something like that, and I make like a graph and some nice pie chart, like people use that on the internet. You can reach out to them and make them give you link credit for that. So it also can come back for you in that way. Okay, so we got the content editor. She has the content people, the content writers underneath them. We got the content uploader. And then we probably want a backlink team. So you want someone to take care of the outreach. So probably have someone, doing outreach themselves. Maybe they have a couple people under them. Typically, one thing that most outreachers like to do is have a link prospector, so someone that's going to go out and determine all the links that they can get. Maybe someone who's going out and collecting email addresses. So that's also like really busy work, but you need someone to do it. But the outreach manager would probably have someone underneath him that will do that. And the outreach manager, you give them a KPI saying like, okay, this is how many links we want per month. These are our specifications. These are the pages we want them to go to. Here's the anchor text we want. And yeah. So what does that leave for you at the top? You're the orchestrator of everything. You're defining the KPIs, how many pieces of content everyone's going to get per month. But I also think it's probably within your best interest to keep some SEO technicalities under your hood, like being responsible for the interlinking between pages and link juice management, being responsible for the overall technical sanity of the site, making sure everything's technically sound. Other than that, and yeah, definitely monetization. So it should be you making the calls on what kind of products to be putting in the top positions, and when you're going to decide to make a email follow-up series. Like conversion, I think you leave at the top.
Yep.
But other than that, like those are the essentials, and you get that kind of team together, get 8 players in those positions, and you're on the way to making a very fine affiliate agency.
So you said something key there at the end. You said 8 players in those positions, right? So if you were building this team out, you would not be training people, I assume, right? You would be bringing people in that had some experience and then telling them your SOPs or sharing with them your SOPs, right?
Yeah, this one's super challenging though, because okay, here's the thing. If you're hiring like an SEO manager, like someone who's supposed to be skilled at SEO, like the fact that they want to work for someone else is also a red flag. Like why weren't you able to figure this out when you were doing it on your own, So we do like to get entry-level people and train them up. I mean, we have good training processes, but we also hire fast and fire fast. So we'll go through a lot of people and we'll find those diamonds in the rough pretty quickly, put them through the training process, and keep the winners.
Yep, 100%. So like an outreach manager, I kind of play that hat in our business and it sucks. And I definitely need an outreach manager. So in my experience, trying to hire an outreach manager sucks. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because most of them are doing things that I would never want to do. They're saying things in emails that I would never want to say. They have a lot of practices that I would never want to deploy. When I hire them and kind of bring them on, even doing test projects just to see how they do, like 99.9% of the time, I'm like, you're fired as fast as they got the test project. So thoughts on that specific position or role?
Man, I don't have any advice for you. We've gone through like 5, and the one we have right now is amazing, and I think it's sheer luck. But that said, I would go for just finding someone with the right attitude, and maybe they're an expert at one type of outreach. Like maybe they're awesome at guest post, or maybe they're awesome at skyscraper. Like maybe they just haven't developed themselves completely, but they're really good at one thing. That's a good sign if they've mastered one of them. So then you would have in your training process like, here's the other types of outreach that we can do, and then you get them trained on the rest of it. I mean, that's kind of how it happened with our current outreach manager. And I think it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Of course, we were rewarding him very well, but monetarily, but also at the same time, like he's learning a lot from us. And I've seen him grow and get some amazing results. Like he showed me a link that he built today that on a DA88 that was free. So I was like, okay, you're getting badass.
So is your team like all international? Are they located all over the world? Kind of where does your team sit, and where are you hiring from?
A lot of us in Thailand. A lot of us in Thailand, not Thai, but a lot of people are living in Thailand, just travelers or expats and stuff like that.
Was that done on purpose?
Maybe just because like I met them and I was like, you're cool. What do you do kind of thing. And it's like a good way to assess somebody. There's a huge digital nomad community in Chiang Mai and in Thailand in general. So we're meeting people like this all the time. Like I can guarantee, like I'm from San Diego back home, but I guarantee like there's more digital marketers here, even though San Diego's like quintuple the size, So it just worked out that way because we're here, we're in the cut. All we do here is talk about SEO and digital marketing. Like that's just the way it is in the city. That said, I do have some business partners like in the UK and Los Angeles and stuff like that. But I just say the biggest concentrations here in Thailand.
All right. So I know a cheeky question, but Matt, if you had to start all over again, what would you do differently?
Okay, so are we talking about the beginning of my SEO journey or the beginning of my career journey?
The beginning of your SEO journey.
Okay, so probably I would have just been more aggressive, right? Like I think everyone or a lot of people doing SEO kind of feel like, okay, there's these techniques available out right now, but they're kind of shady. So I'll future-proof myself by working on this other stuff that's more safe. But like, who do you think when GSA spam was available, when people were just running software to spam the internet and create thousands of links at a time, who do you think made the most money? Who do you think ranked the most websites? Who do you think was the most successful? The people spamming or the people future-proofing, right? And then what happened to the spammers? Like, you're sure they got penalized. And then what they do after that? They learned the stuff that the other people that were too scared to to do the black hat stuff or whatever. They learned that stuff and they got good at that, and then they hopscotched along. So I mean, right now it's kind of a different story. Like I would say I'm pretty damn white hat. Like I pretty much do everything white hat. But in the beginning, there's a lot of techniques available that I just kind of like stayed away from because I was thinking about longevity, but I would have just gone for it. Like I would have just just gone all in on those kind of things.
Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like I was like the black hat guy, right? Now I'm like the white hat guy because of the longevity. So it's interesting. Very different answers or very different thoughts. Obviously not either right or wrong, just different experiences throughout life.
Right. And it's all subjective, right? Like even right now, we both say we're white hat, but at what degree of white hat? Yeah, what is white hat? I'll still go out and buy a backlink right now, and to the pure white hats that exist today, that sounds batshit crazy. So those are the people probably that are wanting to be like overly conservative, so to speak. Whereas like I'll dip into that stuff. I'm comfortable with that kind of risk, and I guess that's the black hat right now, like paying for links or something like that. Who knows? Yep,
I agree. That is somewhat black hat without the over aggressive, like crazy hacking and stuff that happens. I would say that's the real black hat. But yeah.
Yeah, there is that, by the way. Yeah, there definitely is that. PBNs are still very effective right now. So, I mean, there's all different scales, but yeah, it's just whatever you're comfortable with your business.
So with lead spring, I guess that makes me think of another question. With lead spring and you guys trying to build sites to sell, do you go after PBNs then? Does that affect your multiple? Kind of what's your thought on that, or what's the reality of that situation look like?
Yeah, so any site that we're looking to eventually sell, it'll be white hat from conception. So it'll always be completely white hat. In terms of sites that like, if we're in niches that are like a little bit more aggressive, we know people don't buy in niches like this, we'll go pretty hardcore. Like I'll use PBNs and stuff. So it just kind of depends on what the model is. And that's the line right there. With client SEO, absolutely 100 billion% white hat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I see a lot of people these days doing client SEO and using PBNs, and I can't say that I didn't do it in the past, but it always came back and bit me in the ass. So one tip that I would give, definitely if you're doing client SEO, don't be using PBNs. Just my personal opinion, unless you educate them right on the kind of the dangers. What's your thought there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the risk that the client themselves should get the honor of making or the honor of deciding on. I think that's only fair.
When would you say that an affiliate SEO business is really ready to scale?
I would say like it all comes down to the team, like getting the team in place that's going to carry out the things that you want them to do. So creating that dream team that I told you about sooner or earlier. And then after that, just making the processes. I guess you would probably need them about the same time, but getting those processes and SOPs down will not only like enable you to deliver quality all the time, but also train people quickly, right? If you're hiring fast and firing fast, you don't want it to be you individually training people one by one. You want the process to do that. So once you get those things down, like as long as you're choosing the right niches, you're making the right moves, the SEO moves that you're doing, the techniques that you're doing work, and you're doing the right things, you're optimizing content correctly, you're building the right backlinks, like it's going to work.
So we're going to wrap this thing up. I got one more question for you. So instead of asking you to recommend 3 books, like on every other podcast out there, right? I want to do something a little bit different. I want to ask you, what's the one book, right, that made a huge impact on the way that you do business? And then break down for us kind of what that book was and then the why. Like, what was that thing that you grabbed onto that had a huge impact on the way that you do business?
Okay, I want to say it's Principles by Ray Dalio, but I haven't implemented any of that stuff. It's just cool. I thought it was all really cool. I'm going to go with the E-Myth by Gerber.
Yep.
What's great about that is it's really should be given to every entrepreneur very early on in their career. It's going to help people from making a lot of mistakes, but it's all just about creating standard operating procedures. And every time you do something and you decide that this is the way it's going to be done, that needs to be documented so the next person can do it for you. It's all gets those scaling principles in your head and standards principles in your head, and it's really user friendly. Highly recommend it if you haven't read it. I think it should be required reading for all entrepreneurs.
100%. I love that book. I think that's a great piece of advice, a book that I actually try to read once a year. I think that one of the things that a lot of people don't get in that book is kind of the technician versus the entrepreneur role, and kind of how you move from technician to entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people not mess up just the SEO businesses, but they mess up lots of other businesses as an entrepreneur, not understanding how that role changes, right? And how you go from the technician to the entrepreneur. So just my thoughts on that book. I think it's a big aha moment that most people don't really grasp.
Yeah. And just to add on to that point, right? Like whenever you do any task in your SEO business, like just decide what kind of task does that belong to? Like what kind of role does that belong to? I just edited content. Like, is that something a CEO does? No. So that gets marked as something that needs to be outsourced next time, and you need an operating procedure for that.
And then Matt, if somebody wants to connect with you directly, is there a place that you do that best? Is it Facebook or Instagram or any specific direction for that? A contact form somewhere?
Yeah. So contact form is the best way. I try to not message too much on social media. So diggitymarketing.com and /contact. That's the best way.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate you making the time to come on today. I know our users are absolutely going to love this one. Thanks, brother.
Pleasure's mine. Take care.
Now, before you go, I have something extremely special for you. What if some of the top entrepreneurs of our entire industry went a little nuts and decided that they give away their best products for free? Well, forget the what if. This is actually happening, all right? These top entrepreneurs join me, and we are now running a contest to give you their best products absolutely free. And you don't want to miss out on this amazing opportunity. So go check it out at digitaltriggers.io/contest. And I want you guys to understand that yes, this is a contest, but there is quite literally something for everyone. So just by joining, you are a winner. So go check it out at digitaltriggers.io/contest. Again, that's digitaltriggers.io/contest. And guys, again, this is a limited time contest. So go ahead and do it now before it's too late. We'll see you on the next episode.